Hi, everyone. Welcome to the June OPA monthly meeting. Hopefully we're with the echo in there. There we go. Great to see a good crowd here. It's great to be back in the library. Thanks again, Judy, for spearheading us, getting us back to the library, Judy. Going to kick off with some representatives from the Santa Monica Police Department. Hopefully, Officer Wang and Officer Navarro can hear me. Thumbs up if, yep, awesome. I am going to hand the floor over to both of you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Nice seeing you again. We always love the hospitality and always inviting us every month. I see you waving in the back there. Glad to have you back from vacation, Sean, back in one piece. We missed you. So Halima, our civilian counterpart, is unable to be here today. She usually provides us with the crime stats. So we don't have that tonight. However, I do want to talk about some notable events that might concern you all. I'm pretty sure you guys heard about the stabbing that happened in the downtown area with the 2 German tourists. Although that is out of the area of Ocean Park, I do understand that is something of concern. The suspect is in custody. The 2 victims are okay. Actually, one of the victims came to visit us at the station just earlier this afternoon, and he is recovering well. So wish them speedy recovery, and you know, justice will be served. So this guy is in custody. I understand that the Victorian has had a trend of pickpocketings in the past. That has seemed to subside. We did get one incident of pickpocketing just earlier this month. So it's still going on, although it's just one. That's still one too many. The loss on that was $1,000, a cell phone, and I believe a designer wallet. Just outside of the city, just past Rose on LEP's jurisdiction, one of our officers had an automatic license plate reader hit on a car that was wanted for robbery and kidnapping. That person was in custody, and that person was handed off to LAPD. So I want to share that story with you because our officers are out there and they're being proactive. They're making good stops, and they're taking bad guys off of the street. And last notable thing, some of the trends that we've been seeing is that officers are beginning to uses of force. Unfortunately, with suspects, looks like there's been a trend of suspects fighting officers, and 2 incidents where suspects are spitting at officers. So it looks like the tone out there on the street is starting to ramp up a little bit for our officers. But those incidences, officers were okay. The suspects were taken in custody, and no further incident happened from that. So with that said, I don't have any other stats, but the way I like to operate is I just like to open the forum to you guys, and just have an open forum. And if you guys have any questions, just throw them at me, and we'll see. We can see if we can answer it the best we can. And I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce my partner, Officer Navarro. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with him. I apologize, I left them out, but that's Officer Navarro, everybody. So, all right.
Officer Wayne, any hands with questions for the officers tonight? Yes.
Yeah, I've noticed the last week there's been a number of homeless people in Ocean View Park. And they kind of, you know, been spreading their paraphernalia and their drugs, pill bottles and stuff all over the place. In fact, one of the dogs in our homeowners association actually got some methamphetamine, and the vet diagnosed the dog with methamphetamine in its blood. The dog was really sick. So I don't know, you know, how I've seen some policemen there, but I don't know how often they're patrolling the area to help control this kind of stuff.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I I understand the concern with homelessness and drugs. And to answer your question, if you don't know if officers are patrolling. You might not see them at that particular time and place, or I don't know if somebody's actually out there actually taking a tally, but they're out there and they're working. They're responding to calls and they're trying to be proactive and they're still trying to make traffic stops. And they're still patrolling the neighborhoods. So if you don't see them, just know that they are out there. They might be tied up on investigation, but understand these patrol officers are out there and they're constantly moving. They're constantly working. And I know that firsthand as an officer who worked patrol for 15 years. It's our day's never easy, and it never stops. As far as the drug problem, yes, it is a growing problem. It's rampant. And do we have a solution to it? At this point, we don't. We're just going out there and we're trying to enforce everything that we can. I think we as a community need to come up with some better solutions to break the cycle of recidivism and the drug crisis. And I think it's going to take a lot more time and thought and collaboration with different entities to help us really solve this drug crisis. It's not just in Santa Monica, it's not in California, it's across the nation. And that same goes for the mental health crisis. Most of the mental health issues that we're seeing on the street is drug induced. Yeah, there's a few cases, far in between where it's unfortunately natural. But the majority of the cases that we see are drug induced. And these two things create the homeless problem. So all these three things are very connected, and it's a very deep root that we all as a society, as a community, need to come together and figure out. So I'm sorry that you're seeing that in your community. And believe me, your voice is heard, and we are tired of this. We are.
And if I could just add another piece of information for the short term, consider contacting the help team. So we have a team that works exclusively with the homeless. They ride around with a clinician in their vehicle so that we can make contact with these folks if they need mental health assistance. That clinician can provide that. In addition to, our help team members are also doing outreach when they can, which is basically getting resources for these folks, in addition to enforcement when we need to. And in terms of, you were talking about paraphernalia, any type of drug activity, objects, drug paraphernalia is illegal as well, in addition to the actual narcotics themselves. So if you're seeing anything, you're seeing people that are smoking or involved in manipulating this type of paraphernalia, you can give us a call. Our patrol personnel or our help team can go out there and take enforcement. And then we proactively will contact these folks if we see drugs being consumed. That's illegal in of itself. So there's a lot of enforcement that we can do if we see it ourselves or if you call it in.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback off of that. Is there a resident in here that lives at 158 Fraser? I spoke to a gentleman who was a resident. Okay, maybe not here tonight. So that person called regarding an encampment off of Nielsen Way, regarding a big encampment that's been there for 3 weeks. Just want to let that person know and let you guys know that that encampment has been addressed. It should have been addressed and broken down. I don't know. That person came back. I need to maybe go out there and see that myself tomorrow. Actually, Officer Navarro and I will go out there tomorrow and check it out. But it was addressed. So just want to let you guys know that. Yes, I see his hand there in the front.
I think Christina had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
first. Yourself and Jerry.
Yeah.
Just a question on, do we use 311 for the help team, or how do we contact the help team that you guys are talking about?
So that would be the best way is just call them directly. I'll put it in the chat, but the number is 310-458-8953. So if you call them, most of the time they're in the field. You'll leave a message. You can leave your contact information and ask for a call back. So that's the best way to contact them directly. Now, if you have an issue where you're driving down the street and you're seeing somebody, it's happening right now, right then, you want to start off with calling police dispatch, get our uniformed personnel to address the call then, and then you can always follow up with the help team, which is the 8953 number. For this type of call, I would not recommend the 311 system. That's more for something that can be handled the next day.
Thank you.
Yeah, in that we're coming in on summer months, and much of the activity that brings a lot of that police activity element in, has the department more or less looked at recognizing who is actually a resident as opposed to who may be from the outside causing trouble? And just how are they, department just approaching that issue, specifically when we get into activism and protest and other activities in and around, the beach community?
So I believe the question asked if we know if we're knowing the difference between enforcement between residents versus non-residents. Was that part of the question?
Looking at the idea that most of the people that come here and involve themselves in police activity aren't residents of Santa Monica.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if there is that distinction that the department looks at in terms of who is actually doing all the ruckus, as opposed to those who actually live here and have no beef. How is the department treating that recognition question?
Well, at the end of the day, if whoever's committing a crime, resident or not, it's going to be dealt with the same way. We do know that most of the people committing crimes aren't residents of Santa Monica. A lot of the what we would call chronic offenders, the people that we deal with again and again, are unhoused. And I would say a good 90 to 95% of the unhoused aren't from Santa Monica or even from California. They're actually from different parts of the country. So to answer your question, if we are dealing with it differently as far as resident, non-resident, no, because we're still going to force the crime that is appropriate to the violation, to the enforcement rather. And yeah, we do know that the majority of our unhoused, the majority of the people that cause most of the problems are not from Santa Monica. They are transplants from different parts of the country in the state. But yes, when you mentioned about the summer months coming up and things are ramping up, 100%, things will get busy this year. And we have things in place. We've ramped up our deployments. We're going to do a little shakeup in the organization chart as far as the units in downtown. They're going to have a merger with another unit that we call the DART team. And we're going to try our best to ramp things up down there, and we'll handle things accordingly. And I hope I answered your question.
Jared.
Jerry Rubin, Ocean Park resident. Thank you very much for helping to keep Santa Monica safe. I wanted to ask about the needle exchange program. From what I understand, it's a county program that helps save many lives. And from what I understand, there's some misunderstandings about it. I heard that the needle exchange program is done from a van off on the side of the park rather than directly in the park. Can you speak a little bit about that program?
Edgar, do you have any insight on this program?
No, Jerry, most of the time they never work with us in terms of when they do their program, because I'm hearing both sides of the people complaining, or some people being supportive and some people being against that program. So I hear a lot about that. I've reached out to our help team, which is in the parks dealing with the homeless, and asked them as far as with their interaction with this group, with this county group. And very, very rarely do we actually work with them. Do they tell us where they're gonna be at? So there's very little that we know in terms of how they operate. So no, again, you'd have to talk to somebody in the county in terms of where it is that they work. Is it in the park or outside the park? Because they're not working in conjunction with us, so we really don't know.
Yeah, it's a very spirited debate. There's two sides of that argument, very political. We're gonna have to just do some more research on that and try to gain some rapport with this group, so we can hopefully work better with them. Regardless of whatever decision is, where they're allowed to be in Santa Monica or not allowed to be in Santa Monica, we just want to at least, if they are in Santa Monica, we want to be able to communicate with them and work better with them.
Would it be helpful if they called you or if you called them to get more coordination?
Yeah, so our help team are the ones that are in the best connection with them. So I will reach out to one of the members on the help team and see what kind of progress they've made with this group. And I'll report back to you guys next month. That's okay. I'll put that on my priority list.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Officer. One other item I wanted to sort of just flag or put out for discussion, and I'm going to look to Jeff Jarrell on this, is we obviously have our 4th of July parade coming up in a few weeks. And we had some issues last year with people trying to bust into the parade that weren't registered. Any best practices or recommendations or anything we need to be talking about in this forum in advance of this year's parade, should that happen again? Jeff, officers, anything we want to talk about right now, or planning stuff already?
Yeah, I think we're going to do a separate meeting with lieutenants involved, traffic control, in case something comes up. You know, we had anti-vaxxers kind of break into the parade last year and kind of disturb the crowd a little bit. You know, so just so everybody knows, inside that parade route, it's my parade. I get permits. It's not a question of free speech inside that parade route. People are welcome to go on the sidewalks and say whatever they want, you know, but as far as in the parade, we don't want political messages. You know, people got into that a couple of years ago as well. You know, we want to keep it as a young adult and kids parade, you know, this in the spirit of the holiday, and we don't need people shouting at each other. So it's important, and it's on the radar of the police, and so a whole crew of police that will be in charge of the motor police, the motorcycles, and traffic control, and the other police that are on duty.
Okay. Unless there's anything to add, officers, Wayne, Navarro, appreciate your time here.
I've got nothing. Well, you know what? I do have a little tidbit to add. So that's one of our learning lessons from last year. I got to be honest, July 4th parade is such a really homey Santa Monica parade that sometimes we as police officers that we were in the parade, we kind of saw it as kind of our parade. We were in it as kind of enjoying the parade. But the truth of the matter, because some of these hiccups have happened, I think one of the learning lessons from last year is that we really need to get police officers that are working the event for security purpose, to have that mindset of there can be the people interrupting. So yeah, so this year in terms of our deployment, it's not just going to be the officers that want to go out there and shake hands and high fives and all that, which is super fun. But we really are going to make sure that we have people out there that if there is a disturbance, that they are focusing on that so that it can be a peaceful parade and we can not have any issues. So that's going to be our emphasis. I know last July 4th afterwards, we ended up talking about it, and we definitely have learned from it, and we'll have the personnel to make sure it's all covered.
Great. Thank you. It's election year. I'm sure nothing will happen. Thank you, officers. Always appreciate the time and your service. Thank you very much for doing it.
Our
All right.
pleasure.
Have a
Thanks,
good night. Bye.
Next on the agenda, we were supposed to have the fire chief here tonight. Unfortunately, as tends to happen when you work in emergency services, some things have come up, and that has to be rescheduled. So we are going to jump ahead to, our next guest, or actually guests, and I'm gonna let Ian, make an introduction.
Just make sure that all. Convention straight. This segment of our meeting is focused on DEI. Although we should note that the first part, look at the accomplishments of Lloyd Allen. There's Lloyd. See, it took place way before the letters DEI and anything like what we do today. Kira Blake, now Executive Director of the Santa Monica Black Lives Empowerment Association, and Paula Lloyd talking about SME, now maybe one letter short, SMELPA's mission. Last but by no means least, Minister of the Church in Ocean Park, Janet McKee, who Paula told us about the church and its mission. Here's Judy Abdo to tell us a little about Lloyd, who will, please note, be 103 in morning.
So, Lloyd is here and he knows more about his life than I do. By far. But I'm gonna tell you just a few things and then hopefully Lloyd can come up here and talk about his life a little bit. In 1939, Lloyd Allen, his parents and siblings arrived in Santa Monica from Shreveport, Louisiana. Santa Monica got a jolt of work ethic and faith. Little did anyone know that a contribution to Santa Monica, what kind of a contributions to Santa Monica Lloyd would make. He started working initially at a car wash, and while there attended University of Delphi, where he was active in student leadership, as you might imagine, as vice president of the student body. He focused his energy on both entrepreneurial and academic activities, attending classes at Santa Monica College, of course, and graduating from night school in 1958. Okay, think about where you were in 1958, if you were. While also owning several businesses and leading civic programs. So he has been a busy person. He was one of the pioneering Black business owners of his time, as well as a leader in the Black civic and religious community over the years. Some activities through his church continuing until today. Among other things, he had a parking attendant business, a barbecue restaurant, and organized Boy Scout troop number 24. He founded Allen Auto Laundry in 1940 and owned and operated a number of businesses located at 400 Pico Boulevard. Think in your mind, the corner of 4th Street and Pico. Can you picture that? That was his building where he was. That included Allen Janitorial Services and Supplies, or Allen Janitorial Supplies and Equipment. And that's where I first knew about Lloyd. As already mentioned, Lloyd was active in the community's civic life. We still need to know more about what he did. He was a member of the Santa Monica Chamber of Commerce, the first Black commissioner of Santa Monica's Department of Parks and Recreation, and was instrumental in making Santa Monica, Virginia Avenue Park a reality. And we need all the details of that, Lloyd. I've questioned you many times about that, and we need to even know more. He aided in the land acquisition, even though a city manager at that time told him, Lloyd, you will never have a park there. So who was right? Lloyd, as always, okay. He has been a Grand Marshal of the Constitution Day Parade, that was a while ago, has long served the Rotary Club community, and throughout his life has been active in his church, Calvary Baptist. And for all of these reasons, we have invited him here and want to honor him today. I'm hoping he will.
Honor to the leadership here, and good afternoon, members of the committee and visitors and friends. It's a joy to be here, to come to Santa Monica. And I heard her saying some things there. I had forgotten about some of it. But I would like to say that it's a joy to be here, as I said before. And I came here, I believe, I arrived in Santa Monica in 1937, from Shreveport, Louisiana. Now, I was born about 20 miles out from Shreveport, Louisiana, in a cotton field. My grandparents, the men were white, the women were black. You would say, how did that happen? Well, slave masters went into their girls when, slave girls when they were 13 or 14 years old, before any of the boys got to them, and they got them pregnant. But my dad's mother was so white until they didn't let her come up in the slave quarters. She came up in the rear of her father's house, and he didn't want her to marry a black man. But he died, and she married Louis Allen. Now, my mother's father, white man, and I've seen him many times. He came to the house and so forth. Pretty nice fellow. You know, Johnson, he had 17 kids. One dark one, my mother.
Wow.
Just one dark one out of 7, and I taught them all. So, as I say, it's a joy to be here, and I don't know why you would want me to be so anxious. But I'm glad to be a part of anything that goes on in Santa Monica. When I came here from a place where the racial problem was just terrible. And I heard that there was no racial problem here. But when I got here, I found it a little different. There was a race problem here, but not as bad as back there. If I recall, we could only live from 22nd Street to 20th Street between Pico and Olympic And then later on, from 20th Street to 17th Street, from between Pico and Olympic. And we were buried along 17th Street fence there in Santa Monica. And I became president of the Santa Monica Business Branch of NAACP. We worked with the city trying to get them to open up and let blacks come in. And with that help, we did get this cemetery opened up where we could be buried anywhere in there. But let's see, I also want to tell you that I became the first black commissioner of Santa Monica. And how could that be? If you remember Aubrey Austin of Santa Monica Bank, anybody here remember Aubrey Austin of Santa Monica Bank?
Yep.
Persuasion of pensions, department store. And the two fellows from the Evening Outlook, they brought me into Santa Monica Rotary Club. And there, you know, I met all of the big shots. And they seemed to like me somewhat. They made me the person to bring in guest speakers, you know. So I stayed in Santa Monica Rotary Club for a number of years before I left there and went to Malibu. But you know, no black people were living in Malibu at all. And one of the deacons that carried back said, let's see you become an officer of that. I didn't try to become an officer anyway. But I went over to Malibu Rotary Club, and guess what? The second year I was there, I became president of Malibu Rotary Club. ABC to give the T-shirts, and we raised $1,000 a year for 2 years for Malibu Rotary Club. And I left there against that wheel and went to Watts Willowbrook Rotary Club to help black people. But I sat in the Watts Willowbrook Rotary Foundation, and we dug 2 wells in Africa. But coming back to Santa Monica, we love Santa Monica. I opened my business in Santa Monica. Some of you can remember Allen Janitorial Supplies and Equipment for Pico. The building right there on the corner, 2-story building. It's twice the size it was when I bought it, because I bought the building, the house next to it, and added a lot of that to that building. So we made the building the size that it is now. I sold in 5. But the parking lot, the fence and everything around there, I did. And my dad and I planted some trees. You know, the trees need trimming. But we planted those trees also. That was a joy. I was in that building for 59 years. Out in janitorial supplies and equipment. What else did I want to tell you about Santa Monica also?
How did you decide to get a park in place for Virginia Avenue Park?
I became the black commissioner. Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. I had about, when I became chairman the next year of the commission, don't know how that happened, but it did. I noticed that black people going into the parks around were getting into trouble. You know, maybe some of them watched good-looking white girls with those short pants on and things that they would be accused of. And so I thought that we should have a park in the black community where blacks we go. And So I brought this up to the chairman of the commission and, the city manager. And they said, well, there's no place to put one. So I looked all around and I found where the park is at now. That was owned by Santa Monica College. So I sent 2 guys over to Santa Monica College to see if they sell me a piece of it for the park. So the first time they went, no luck. Second time, no luck. We prayed. The third time we went, they came back. Said, well, they'll let you have a pot. So I brought the chairman of the commission and the mayor took me. Oh, I told them we want to put the park in there. So they took me to Sambo's for breakfast, They said, we don't want that to be a park. That will never be a park. Don't waste your time. We're not going to do it. Well, I didn't pay much attention to that because the Santa Monica College said they would sell us part of it. So I kept after it. And somehow or another, we got it through. And we got a park up there, and it's there today. But it's much larger now than it was then. And so that was good. I brought Martin Luther King in here to speak at the Civic Auditorium here in 1968. Anybody remember when Martin Luther King came to speak? Well, I brought him in. There, I thought at first that he wasn't going to show up. You know, some time ago, you look for people that they don't show up. I don't know about your age, but it's my age. And he didn't show up. I thought, oh, the Joker didn't show up. But when everybody was off, he popped up on the deck out there. In those days, we went out on the dock, you know, to meet the people that come in. And there he was, with a bag in his hand, he came down. We shook hands and we brought him in and he spoke at the Civic Auditorium that night. So it was a powerful speech that he made there. So, any questions you want to ask?
I would. You referred in some meetings seeing big shots there. What I want to ask you is how many people over the years do you think have pointed to you and said, he's a big shot?
Where I stood, they were all big shots. And they treated me very good, you know. Even let me bring in speakers. And I brought a speaker from the black church in there. Can't think of his name right now. But anyway, they treated me just as good as they would treat anybody.
That's good, you deserve it.
I don't know about that, but but I did the best I could. But anyway, any other questions? Well, my dad told me when I was young, called me Bud. Bud, respect everybody that has authority over you. Whether they be white or black or whatever. He says, they have power over you. Do what they say do. Don't try to come up against them, you'll get into trouble. So that bothered me all the way through. When I came to Santa Monica, and I met white people coming down the sidewalk, 2 of them. I got off and got over on the grass. Let them pass. And I said, yes, sir, and no, sir, to them from the time they got to be 17, 18 years old. Oh, no. I never got into any trouble with any police officer at any time, anywhere. So I got along pretty good, respecting everybody that had power over me. So anybody got any other questions? Well, I'd just like to say before I go down, I believe in the great good God that made me a black man. I had no apologies for the color of my skin. His wisdom surpassed my curiosity. And I knew that of one blood, he made all people to dwell on the face of the earth. And man's endeavor to thwart God's plan of a multiracial world is ridiculous and pathetic. Why should any man feel superior or inferior? I counted it a blessing and not a curse to be a black man. And I faced much of the worst about my race and my color than I faced much of the worst. I faced hope rather than much of the worst about it. So, I have gotten along good, coming along with everybody. Here you're inviting me here tonight to speak to a group like you. Much of you have much more knowledge than I have. But I'm glad to be here. As my wife sitting over that for the past 40-some years. And they haven't been in any trouble either.
Sorry, I just wanted to say thank you very, very much. I'm greatly appreciated.
Oh, I think we need to name him a big shot. Yeah.
Why, can you tell us where we can get cleaning supplies now that? So I used to go there a lot and now it's not there.
No, the people that I bought from are dead. I've only lived all of them. Still here. But, you can always go to a hospital.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Walk by there, just a block away.
Want to come up here?
Back in Cleveland.
Yeah, you get to follow him.
Oh, my goodness.
Wheelbase.
Thank you guys for having me. Dr. Allen, actually, I admire you from the time I moved here 7 years ago. And I am following in your footsteps. I've been a Rotarian since I was 19. So, and I'm still currently a Rotarian now.
And you think he's a big shot.
And I know he's a big shot. So I'm here to talk about Santa Monica Black Empowerment Association. First, let me just give you a quick little synopsis about me. My name is Kira Bates Snell. I was born in Belize, Central America. I have 2 boys, one amazing back there. And my other son is 30 years old. I'm actually a new grandmother of an amazing little girl, 7 months old. And I moved to Florida probably 19 years ago. And my father he died already, but he was an American, mixed, I'm a biracial couple. My mother, similar stories actually to Dr. Allen. My father comes from half white and my mother is Black, and they kind of separated them when I was 5 years old because she was too Black, and you know how that story goes. So I kind of was raised by a single mother, very strong woman, but I was also raised by 8 other women. My mom had 9 sisters and 1 brother. So that's how I learned how to be an amazing leader, giver, provider for my boys. So now, why I'm here? Oh, I'm married to Barry Snow, you guys, sorry. I moved here 7 years ago after getting married. So 3 years ago, I guess everybody remembered when our city was going through a lot of changes with the George Floyd incident, when, looters came in and made us feel so unsafe. I was actually outside, not knowing what was happening. I went to, somewhere in South Central to visit a friend, not realizing what was happening in Santa Monica, and my husband and my son at home panicking and telling me to get home. And I'm like, you guys are just overreacting. Everything's gonna be fine. Little did I know, I came on the 10 trying to exit on Cloverfield, and I could not get home. I had to reverse on the freeway into traffic. It was the scariest thing I've ever done. But I made it home safely. So after that incident, the city came to my husband and a couple other Black leaders in the community and said, how can we help our Black community? We started the Black Agenda, which met every Saturday for a couple months, trying to figure out how we can help our community, what needs to be done. We created this survey, and from that survey, we realized that the minorities, African American, and the other Black, and everybody that identifies as Black and brown in our community, they need help. So we came up with putting this nonprofit together. The nonprofit started as Santa Monica Black Lives Association, and we've been in existence now for 3 years. The problem is, though, I am actually the executive director, that's not the problem. But we got a lot of kickbacks for funding, for helping us with doing anything because of our name, Santa Monica Black Lives. Everybody thought we were Black Lives Matter, and they thought we wanted to be for the police, so that we were trying to do all these actions that we were not. So a couple of months ago, my board and I, we sat down and said, how can we make this fair? Because we're trying to do so much, but we are not getting the help or even, the recognition of our fellow community members, because they think that we are doing something wrong. So we decided to change things up a little bit. So we changed our name now, and we've rebranded. We have a brand new logo, we have brand new everything. Although this still has the old logo because it costs a lot of money to print. But we are now the Santa Monica Black Empowerment Association. So Jerry, can you pass out some of these if you don't mind? So we are now a full-blown 501c3. We have an office at 520 Arizona, and we have really become a resource center. So we welcome everyone. Although we say Santa Monica Black Empowerment Association, I have actually had, we call them clients come in that are not African American, that are not Hispanic. I've had people from Israel, white people, people from the Asian community that are looking for help in Santa Monica. We have also become a DPSS office, intake office. So that means that we can help people to apply for Medi-Cal, CalFresh, cash advance, anything that comes along with that. We also signed a little agreement with a company in South Central that we have free dental services for people that are illegal aliens or migrants here, and or that cannot afford it. So there is a little intake process. It's nothing difficult at all. You just have to go into the office. We send you with a referral, and you sign up and you get your dental. And there's also other medical services available. But we have a very close relationship with the dentist, and she's amazing, and she treats our clients amazing. So our office, we kind of have we have services based around mental health and wellness, homelessness, career and job placement, youth services and mentorship, small business coaching, and we also dabble in home electrification because of the fact that the electric gas in your home has led to a lot of illnesses and mental problems, and also just asthma and all of that caused in our minority community. And actually know that. I did an 8-month-long, course that with the RMI, and that prepared me and showed me all the benefits of it to find our homes. So I partnered with several city organizations, has a quick carbon and all of them to see how we can electrify homes for minorities. So yeah, so we kind of deal with a lot of things in our office, and I have learned to kind of separate myself from the people that come into our office and be going home. I have a funny story. It's actually not funny, but I've had a girl that came into my office, a young girl, pregnant, and her boyfriend kicked her out. And I moved her in, and she was being abused. And we kind of had to. My husband thought I was crazy for letting this girl stay at our house because the guy ended up stopping her. So we kind of had to figure out how to get her out of our house. Like we would, you think, and you really just see these things in Lifetime movies. I've never thought I would experience it. My husband and I, we put her in my car, and put a blanket over her, put the same thing in his car, and we come out of the garage, one goes left, one goes right. And then we drive her out to see who he's following.
Wow.
Try to take her to safety.
Jeez.
Yeah, and the thing is, and the reason why I decided to Metro Valley, I said we really need to have an office and we really need to help. Because with her, it hurt my heart that we were calling all these numbers, all these hotlines. Everybody said that they're going to help. They have all this money, all these resources, but nobody's helping her. And her and I are sitting there, we're calling and we call and we call, and everybody we call, we was doing more numbers to call. And then she looks at me and she's like, maybe I should just go back there. Like, I felt like the whole world was falling apart. I'm like, no, we cannot do that. And, I went with her to the DPS office, and I saw firsthand how everything was done. I'm like, you know what, this is why a lot of people don't even want to come to the office to not treat them like a person. And that it's also why our office's slogan is your safe space. We market ourselves as a safe space, and now people call us a safe space. So, we know we're doing something right. But just like any other nonprofit, we are, struggling with financial problems. I try to do events, fundraisers, galas, you name it. I try to do everything to see if we can make money. I've done so many grant writing along. And I think, like I told my staff, what I think it was because of our name at the time. And some people said too that we were young. But like I said, if you don't give us a chance, how do you know that we're going to do anything? Just, around us being young and that we can't do anything. So we changed our name. We've done the entire marketing. And we think we're coming along a little bit better. And I've done some campaigns for donations and stuff. Our website is redone. It is SFPA.org. Everything on the paper that you got is SFPLA, but it's now but yeah, and how can you guys help? So I thought about this a really, really long and hard, because every time someone comes into our office, the first thing they say to us, I am so happy that I'm seeing someone that looks like me. And I get a lot of people coming and want to volunteer, but where do I place you if my clients come in and don't feel comfortable talking to you? So what I think we can do is, I need help with grant writing, because I'm doing all the grants myself. Helping me with marketing, anything behind the scenes. I need people to help me with fundraisers. I'm having a gala on November 8th, and actually last year I did the gala all by myself, so it would be nice to have some help. Or just open up your resources to me. Just give me an introduction to somebody that you know that gives money away. I am perfectly fine and happy to go talk to them. I'm not shy. But yeah, so that is SMBA. Oh, and we're having our a bike-a-thon event on Juneteenth, June 19th, the exact day. Starts at Virginia Park and ends at our office with a resource fair and free food. And you can sign up at, our website.
Thank you. The city of Santa Monica, I see it's in a state of flux. They, almost 2 years ago, issued a Black apology. And yet, all of the council members, stood by it. But there hasn't been much of a follow-up, and I was wondering if indeed there was an effort to address Black groups such as yourself to further, and could you see yourself working with them to more or less make do on what it is they had promised for? I mean, because you yourself mentioned the number of problems that African Americans are having here in the city. And, the city seems to want to do something, but yet still, they can't seem to find either the personnel or the resources to make good on that. And I was wondering just how, if anything, you may have met with.
We've reached out to them for everything. Like, we have all the services that we offer. So we have been working along with them, with their mental health department, with their housing department, with public services, I've reached out to our city council people several times to see if I can get a meeting to talk about that, but I have not gotten a response. So yes and no, but city staff has been helping, and I've had countless meetings with all of them, and trying to figure out how to tap into the resources, and even giving them ideas on how to reach us. Because, I tell them a lot of times the wording, the marketing, the messaging is not for us. We're not hearing that.
I mean, one of the things that you mentioned is in terms of grant proposal. And I know with all the resources within city thing, I'm sure there's at least one person.
I've written several grants for the city and they denied me.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kira. Very nice. So I'm Janet McKisson, and I'm the Minister of Church and Ocean Park, but I'm also on the steering committee for the Committee for Racial Justice. And 13 years ago, there was a racial incident at the high school, and some of us responded by going to the school board. And I was outraged what was going on, and so I just made this statement. We're going to have a gathering of the whole community at the church in Ocean Park, and I gave the date. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I had to do something. And so what I did was I called Jim Lawson, Reverend Jim Lawson, and you may know that he passed away yesterday.
Yes.
No. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Lawson.
Sunday.
Yeah, so he's a colleague of mine and a friend, and he came over to the church in Ocean Park, and so it was packed house, of course, because he was there. And anyhow, we had the packed house, and then we had divided into subgroups about what people were interested in about being anti-racism. So we had a group on Black Brown, we had a group on white privilege, we had a group on education, a group on police reform, and various groups that formed right there. And so then we had subcommittees that would work on the various issues surrounding racism. So that was 13 years ago, and we've met as, we've had community workshops every month since then in Virginia Avenue Park, almost every single month, on different topics. Our topics range from education to police reform to, by the way, when I say that, it doesn't mean I hate police. Okay, I just want to make that statement because we want to make it better. The system, we are living in a system that is very racist, that was, the country was born in a racist way. And it takes fighting against it, intentional fighting against it to make that go away. That's what we're saying. We're not blaming one person or another. And as a white person, I was brought up not really knowing all the stuff that I was benefiting from, what was going on. So it takes really intentionality for a person who was brought up like me to realize that when somebody speaks about racism, that we should listen and realize that because that's not our experience doesn't mean it's not real. And in fact, we need to listen more deeply because people are experience the same in the same area, Santa Monica, in very different ways, or wherever we are. So I think we just need to listen to one another. I mean, you know that if you're in any kind of a marginalized group, that you experience the world a little differently than anybody else. And so we just need to listen to one another and believe each other. You know? So we have these workshops every month, but we also in between are working on real issues. We get educated at the workshop, and then in between the workshops, we do work on issues. And we've had a book group that's been going on for about 9 years. Started out with the new Jim Crow, and it's a monthly group, and then during COVID it went online, and it's still kind of online. But anyhow, so our mission statement is, with the conviction that all human beings deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, we are committed to combating all forms of racial injustice, overt and covert, individualized and systemic, that take place in our community. While racism affects many cultural groups, we are especially drawn to focus on the severe impact it has on the African American community. So our workshops and our steering committee has always been 50% white people, 50% Black people, pretty much. Well, our steering committee always is. And then we expanded to have a leadership team, and Craig is one of the ones on the leadership team. A lot of the other folks tonight are not here because we also, one of the things we do is get involved in all kinds of stuff. Right now we have a subcommittee of the Landmarks Commission that's working on, when you create a landmark in the city of Santa Monica, what do you need to look at as background? Because they're about to landmark something that was the home of somebody who was a very known racist. And so at any rate, what can we do leading up to that so that doesn't happen? You know, so we're working with the Landmarks Commission. So sometimes we're advocating things that have already happened and saying that needs a change. And sometimes we're working, we would much rather do what we're doing with the Landmarks Commission, work together to establish maybe a new program or a new way to go about things. So some of the things that we are involved in, we did help to, with the Black Apology to get that going. We have a coalition for police reform. We help the Public Safety Commission get going. We also do things like individual things that come to us. Like there was an incident at the Virginia Avenue Park where somebody was trying to charge their electric vehicle. So we ended up going to court with that person and being in an audience every day that was in court. And we learned a lot from that. We also, another example is how we're supporting the folks that are working in regards to the Ebony Beach Club. And do you want to say anything? This is Milana. Milana is part of the family from Ebony Beach Club.
My name is Milana Davis, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm just here mostly to thank the Committee for Racial Justice for supporting our family in our issue with the city of Santa Monica regarding the Ebony Beach Club. I don't go over all the details of that, but I didn't find out about it until Justice for Bruce Beach brought to the attention of the media. Right, comes on board, became a thing because our family didn't talk about anything about Beach Club. And so that's a big component of these things being talked about and brought out into spaces so that they are known and they communicated, and maybe we can finally start having some accountability for these things. But in coming into the space, totally unfamiliar to me, politics of it, all of it, and the Committee for Racial Justice was very supportive for my family, and we are very grateful for that. And I speak on behalf of myself, my cousin Connie, who is the daughter of Silas White, and also I am now working for Where Is My Land? And we just are grateful for the support. And we just want to thank you for the things that you're doing, and it's appreciated.
Thank you. We're kind of all over the place. Some of it's dealing with systemic issues and some of it's individualized, because that's how racism is. It works in both ways, and sometimes ways as we go about in our daily life, we don't even know that we're supporting it, but it needs to be brought up. So, thank you. Anybody have questions? Adrian, I didn't see you. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
First of all, one thing I just want to say to a lot of the speakers in particular are activists is please always try to empower the people you're speaking to and give us action items that we might be able to do to be advocates.
Oh.
On that note.
So, yeah, please let me know if you want to be on our mailing list. We do have a workshop every month, and that's the best way to get involved. So it's the first Sunday of every month in Virginia Avenue Park. And I don't know if they can maybe.
We can put it in the newsletter.
May I also add, Committee for Racial Justice is doing a table for Juneteenth, which is Saturday. There is going to be a festive thing in CRJ. From what I understand, is sponsoring a table there for information, for more about CRJ and its relationship with Juneteenth.
And also when the Landmarks Commission proposal comes up, just know that that's like been kind of worked together with the CRJ, and if you want to support it, that would be great.
Could you mention about the service at the church?
Oh, yeah.
I go, it's open to all religious.
Yeah, our Juneteenth services are 23rd. We're gonna have all kinds of great food afterwards, and
Where will it be?
Church in Ocean Park, 235 Hill Street. And afterwards also, some of you may know Tijuana. Tijuana was, not Tijuana the place, but Tijuana, a person. She wrote a book about Ella Jenkins, and so she's gonna be reading part of that book and maybe singing part of that book after.
Could you go through who is welcome at the church in Ocean Park? I know it takes a long time, but.
So, you're multi-faith, so you're welcome to. And you're welcome if you're agnostic, you're welcome if you're Christian, you're welcome if you're spiritual but not religious, or if you're something else altogether that I don't know anything about. So you're welcome if you're divorced, widow, gay, transgender, living on the edge, or really, really rich. You're welcome if you like ice cream and if you don't like ice cream. If you like organized religion, if you're repelled by it. You got hurt by religion before, and so you're welcome at the church. You're welcome if you're fidgety. You're welcome if you're focused. You're welcome at the church.
I know some people need to leave. We're going to shift into sort of Ocean Park Association business, just quietly. And with that, we're going to shift into executive committee reports. I don't have anything specific other than what's already on the agenda. I don't know if Patty or Roger or Steve had anything to bring up. And maybe we give people a couple minutes to walk out.
Yeah.
Before they finish. But you know, yes.
Give me the look. Okay, I mean, he's spry, drier than me.
Say that to the front door.
Still going on. Hey.
Always there when I'm called upon, David. Always there when I'm called upon.
You're sticking around, let's get seated, because we do have some things to discuss, and we have a deadline to be out of here. Thank you for coming tonight. Really, really, really great. Thank you.
Nice. He told me about us. Some part of this, you know what's going on.
Wow.
You're welcome to come back. Serious stuff.
All right, everyone. We have to start this meeting.
Tear down. Yeah. Yeah, that was in the beginning.
No, I'm okay.
So everyone, kicking off into. I know Patty and Dave were at the neighborhood council meeting this past weekend. Anything fun to report from that? We can work on some people think by all means fans. There was results. They talked about the metro use of these persons. Apparently was not now, we go back. This is the metro, was our issues. Discuss the Santa Monica Pacific.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, it was kind of.
Because they don't know what's going on.
Right, it wasn't really clear, but something maybe.
I know what's going on.
What's going on?
So they are, the city, the council passed an ordinance that said, city staff, please work on building an exclusive negotiating agreement with this group. So the city staff is working on that. Once that's done, it comes back before the council, and when that's set, then all communication is cut off, right? There's NDAs in place. People who are doing it, city staff can't talk to anybody. So that's where they are.
I think at the end of the meeting, they were going into whether the kind of, the candidates, they had the candidate forums, and they're making plans for that, and that's something that we can't really talk about with them.
But if one happens, we can go to them. As people.
You can go to them, but we can't really participate in the secret. And, then I invited everyone to come to parade, and everybody is coming to the parade. Only we had to fix, where's Jeff? There he is. We had to fix the link, because nobody could go to the parade on that link. And I didn't know it was all my fault.
Okay, thanks for attending the meeting.
That's good.
Anything?
There was a comment about smart, this is kind of smart, smart.
Yeah, they did. Got that.
I don't think there's anything else from executive committee to talk about. Everything else is in the schedule. Communications, I don't have anything specific to run through. It's all systems normal, or newsletters, readership and subscription rate is flat or slowly going up, so it's all good there. We're still trying to figure out how to reach more people. We've opted not, unless the larger board says otherwise, we've opted not to send out this mailer this time, or due to cost. Those city resumed their program for doing mailer, but we're just staying with digital networks. That's it on communication. Anything on OPA Connects to talk about?
Just that in July, there's a closed Santa Monica Main Street item called socials.
Good. We found that.
Yeah.
And Jenny's working.
Cool. Which is the next subject on the agenda, which is member engagement events.
Well, we had our first speech cleanup.
Yep, so I'm gonna turn this Dave to talk about last week's speaker cleanup and next week's, or 2 weeks, maybe that.
Yeah, the beach cleanup is yesterday.
I don't know if we. I'm sticking with that.
We had 8 board members show up.
Yeah.
It was really nice to have.
Yeah, parents, teachers, it's come out well, everybody wrote something, yes. Great talk. It was good learning for everybody.
And it will be the last Sunday in July. I don't know the exact date. Yeah, in July, I looked up.
So about 20.
I think it's the 29th and 30th this time. Yeah, 30th, which is also here.
Okay.
The tragedy week.
Yep.
And then you're doing music.
Yeah, I'm making music LA is on for June 1st. It's the south lot, Ocean Park at the beach, south lot 1, grassy area. I'm just lining up with entertainment.
And I applied for the grant.
If anybody wants to help set up or tear down, you know, Sean's, we have a lot of acts volunteering already. So it's gonna be, I'll have to tear it down now.
That'll be a good problem. Cool, and then sticking with events, after that, next is 4th of July parade. Wanna be on all things 4th of July?
Yes, so, just as a follow-up to what I said, we didn't get their money, sponsorship.
No money. You know, we came to like gig.
Well, like I said last time, you know, it's getting down to the wire, so pretty soon we won't get Because, that businesses logos on it. Here's, for those who walked in late, there's the poster. These are all sponsorships on the bottom, but that's what it would look like. So if you know people in the restrooms, you know, like Becky, my kid, I mean, over the years, I've gone to all of them. A lot of them weren't sure, a lot of the businesses closed there, but, you know, we're dumping 12 to 15,000 people at their front door. And it'd be nice if maybe they stepped up, want to be part of the parade, or at least put a poster in their window. A lot of them don't because they're corporate. You know, they don't want to put anything in their window, even though it's a community event. So, and then start thinking about, you know, an OPA truck ban.
Yeah, now all of the neighborhood associations are signing up. And we know that we're supposed to be the one in front. Right? So maybe some of you guys want to get together and think about putting a little float, maybe, you usually have music in there, don't you?
Yeah, we have a band, you know.
Band
on the
or truck or whatever.
Decorations, so we should start thinking
And use the big open banner in the front so that they,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
You want to get like that lawyers group last year that been, or did I go? Is that the OPA?
Oh, was that the OPA truck that year?
It was,
No.
yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah.
Wasn't that?
No, it wasn't. I think it was connected. I don't remember without.
Because I walked in front of you with the banner.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, with the library.
Anyway, so that's-
Anyway, so, you know, let's exclude it.
Is there a theme, so if you want to decorate the truck?
Okay,
Is
now,
up on the wall.
it's up there. It says celebrating the arts and culture.
Okay.
Okay, look at the flyer. I'm gonna put this upstairs at the library. Yeah, it's got right ballet, we got Marcellus playing the trumpet, some film canisters, the music piano.
And for those of you who know people who are having trouble getting into the website, it is now functional. Yeah, it's Santa Monica Parade, SantaMonicaParade.com. I believe it is, but now it's fixed because I had to get it.
You asked Hunter to send an email to the list of, or Jenny to send an email to the list of merchants.
Yeah, I'll have Jay do. And the sponsorship would be for, but sponsorship would be like, like today, I go to VCA. Well, for the local companies, like 500. They, of course, they just want to make donations. We've had people say, I can't give you 5, but I can give 2.
Yeah.
That's not going on the poster, but if they want these social media, it's to their name on the poster and anything else we send out, it's $500. And I get more than that from the bigger companies, you know, but for the local, you know, restaurants and retailers, 500 is about the tops of what they're gonna give up.
I'll talk to Rebecca in BCA for you.
So the Main Street Merchants Board meeting is Wednesday. You might want to show up.
Oh, day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
I knew,
10.
okay.
You can get up that early.
It's tough. It's
I
a
see him in the morning when I drive Thomas to school. Wow. Either way, guys.
It probably would be useful to have this.
Well, it's a good place to get them all in one place.
Well, they don't get that many merchants in attendance, but you've got Hunter, you got other people there, you can sort of guilt them into spamming.
I was kind of surprised how little Main Street gets involved with that. There's so many people up there in the morning, you know, even to open the doors and have coffee and cookies, invite people in so they know who you are, especially the new businesses. Yeah. You know, and all the restaurants should be participating.
You don't know what you don't have. Awareness.
After 18 years, I hope they will.
Which way is the parade going? It's going towards.
It's going towards Fantasy. So it goes, start at City Hall, it goes all the way down Main Street.
Yeah, the normal. Okay. So-
What's the break like on this way or on the?
No, it curves.
What's, I'll make sure I don't do that. There's around Main Street.
You just can't monitor or.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's the
It's like there's more, there's not people like wanting them on.
Yeah.
No. All right.
You had a question for us?
Just where did the merchants meet, their monthly?
On Wednesday mornings, usually the first or second Wednesday,
Where do they meet?
I'll do it.
online.
Online, tell Zoom. Thank you very much.
It's not the big parade anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no, you don't have to go to the thing.
Yeah, you just have to be conscious now.
You just have to get online.
I know we talked about this earlier with, police here, anything is a board, we need to be talking about with respect to security or.
I really think we should hire a couple of security people, because I remember the police telling us what they couldn't do with people who were being a little aggressive.
Well, and last year it was a major upset with anti-vaxxers, jumped into the parade, they walked down the
The
parade.
Kennedy people.
Yeah, they
too,
said-
walked
I
in
think they were-
after.
I think they were all-
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
And this year, they're probably going to be trying it again.
Well, I'm sure they'll be out there. Yeah, it's, well, last year they were antagonizing families sitting along the curb and yelling out to tell the kids to make sure your parents don't kill you with vaccines. The parents got upset.
Yeah, Jeff, I remember, she told us something, she was very cute.
Yeah.
And I got so many profanities last to me for suggesting that it's John there. They were really aggressive.
Yeah, we pay the police a lot of money and they don't, I'm not pointing a finger, but I know they don't want to really start an international incident over free speech. You know, and you know, that's the argument, we can do whatever we want. I said, but it's a kids parade, we don't allow this. And the response I got was, well, I don't really give a shit because I don't live here anyway. And the police really don't want to start anything with people because they, you know, they'll end up on the news.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it gave way last week, and brought up this issue, and he's gonna try to flag it for a while. Try and make sure people feel more empowered to do so.
So can we just?
What else is OPA should we be doing?
So can we just put up some kind of barrier at Pico? Right, so you can't walk in that way, just say, oh, are you registered? Let me check a list.
yeah,
And they come in obviously the other way, but you can't get up there, right? Because the street's closed because it's a pre-staging area and only people that are registered can pre-stage.
They don't- they
There's a
jump in
lot
the
of
middle.
people who come in, I mean, we have.
Yeah, really.
All right,
It's the person that wants to bust through is, you know, like, I'm not letting you in it. Okay.
All right,
It's more of a wristband, and it's been a little lax in the past. Being able to look at people, and if they don't wear a wristband, they should be taken at the parade, but then you have a physical thing happen.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a little touchy.
Just give them all Robert Kennedy banners so they self-identify as odd.
How about big American flags and red hats too?
Is there anything else?
No, but we should start thinking about.
Yeah.
Is there someone?
If you have
who can
friends.
lead on that?
I'm already doing
Look at it.
I do think we need a new banner, because those banners are white and like just say, oh, like they're boring as hell. So if there's a budget, I will order a banner. How big do you want your banner?
We can stretch it across the street. And people punch it.
Yeah, I know. You want like 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet. What do you want me to order?
Aren't you guys got to talk offline and figure that out? You're right, we need to ensure that.
We need a new banner.
Get ready for this.
Yeah.
I'll play along.
Yeah. What about this thing?
Do we have a volunteer to take the lead on the float? Not, I'll be harassing people one-on-one.
I mean, are you,
I will.
we worked last,
Oh,
you and I worked last year on this, so we can.
Yeah.
yeah, ask me like Thursday. I can get it
I'm happy
tomorrow.
to. That's a bad.
I'll get the more day truck.
No, because, which was great, but what happens, they have to, the union company, and if they have the guys coming in at 6 o'clock in the morning to drive the trucks, well, sometimes they leave home at 5 o'clock to get the truck to be there at 6:30 in the morning. So they're paying these guys a lot of money to be there. So they did it once, I guess they didn't realize how much money it was gonna cost Because, you know, they don't just finish at 11:30. There's a band on there, they have. It's another hour, it's 2 hours.
We got some work to do.
Also, the other issue I have written down, is there anything we need to do with city council candidates to make sure they're not
Well, I know one,
blatantly, canvassing?
I know one is going to be very difficult, but, maybe they'll be kind enough.
We can't assume that we got a plan for not.
The mayor gets his own ride.
Correct.
Is he in for election?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay. And, you ready up for election?
No, she's not.
You're not, okay, well, then.
Is there anything we need to be planning for?
Next, it sounded like there's forum, right? Reach out to those people and tell them the forums that are coming up. We'd love those, we'll let Ocean Park residents know that they're happening, but we can't, you know, like UV campaign. I like the idea of just telling them.
How long
Some
do
of
you
them
have?
might not. I just think it's a good, I think you're insinuating that, should, do they know that they can?
I think you gotta just let them know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, we-
Sean,
That's a
They
good
can't
message,
do
Robbie,
what?
I like it.
I just think I got emails that say, this is the policy.
Well, the application says it really clearly.
I'll just follow up.
I'm happy to take them.
Yeah, I think so.
Makes sense.
And the other thing, we have to get them to stop throwing things,
Why?
because.
The thing says you can't throw anything.
Yeah, you're
It
throwing
says
them,
it on the
and
application.
some of them is hard.
You can hand stuff. Yeah, you can't throw anything.
Yeah, not supposed to throw anything.
How about all machines?
No, that's not that problem, the problem's being hit in the heads.
Dave has something to say.
Well, okay.
I'm fine to also message.
Yes, you're also. Oh, no, wrong.
So what we need.
What's that, Jay, had to say that?
At the neighborhood council meeting, they talked about the will be farmers. Yes, if they weren't real.
Yeah, for sure. And that's.
So one of the things that you could do with political candidates, especially those that are incumbents, is put them all in the same group. Don't let them spread out across the parade, right? So if there's Phil and Oscar and anyone else, right, that's elected wants to follow them, they all need to be in a small group. This way they kind of, wash each other out. Christine's, sorry, right, that they should all be in a group, because that'll help minimize that, sort of cancel each other.
Do we know, does anyone know offhand what the deadline for, incumbents to file their running is? Is it before the parade or after?
Oh, it's long after. It's probably like August 1st, something like that. Because it's
Also gives them any incumbent to give the loophole to say, I'm not canvassing, I'm not running, so I'm not sure what we can.
We do have a few people who are saying,
they're all saying that.
Yeah. So anyway, just something we gotta think. So I will message if anything.
Then you know what?
Any candidate or incumbent is gonna be on a float, I don't mess.
Right. And if you're not, and I think you should just call them up, just say if you're not gonna run, just give us a public statement and then you can go what? Let's put it to them.
Anything else on the 4th of July parade? We need to talk about anything more you need help with, or we can start.
Well, the day of, it was volunteers.
Yeah. And I need to
Please keep hitting me up with stuff in the newsletter. I'm happy to put in every newsletter between now.
Yeah, so just, if you go on the,
I need you to,
no, it's not the email, just, volunteers, look at the parade site, it's got a section for volunteers. That way the people that are helping me with that will see the list of volunteers.
if you can send me a couple sentences, it's got the monumental job of putting this newsletter together.
Yeah, we need to have that link everywhere, since so many people were having trouble getting in.
Still.
Well, not still, because now we have the link, but they don't know it. Because that letter you sent around a few weeks ago didn't really work, so let him put that in every newsletter. so that they can find us.
Cool, moving on to the 4th of July, after that is summer solstice on July 13th. Main Street's gonna be closed, Robin, give me more information, I think it's just one day.
One day.
Yep. Sort of like the solstice festival that, we were doing pre-COVID, so one day big street closure party.
You're gonna have a booth?
I assume so, haven't gotten there yet. I know it's creeping up on us.
What's the date?
July 13th.
What? Thanks.
Yeah, they don't know if they have a country.
I'm out of town that weekend.
Is that not,
So I'm happy to, I think, my big word is from afar.
Yeah, you were mentioning the Pico
Pico,
Festival.
anniversary celebration, June 29th.
Yeah,
I know you guys are planning with the team.
yeah, I think they're gonna give us everything we need. We have a lot of, sunscreen now.
So if anyone wants to volunteer at that, that's on Saturday, June 29th.
It's
Like a
like-
busy
it's
weekend for
11
TAM,
to 2.
between us.
It's a Virginia Park.
Yeah.
It's by the library there.
And when is the, oh, the now and later thing, the police, national night out?
National Night Out,
That's, I
that's
think-
not until August.
It's the first weekend of.
We have
So we should have a plan for a booth there.
Yeah, I've already submitted the application.
Yeah.
I just
I'll
didn't
be
have it on my
available
list,
for
it was
volunteer.
missing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then.
Our next meeting.
Second, and then the last event sort of on the agenda to talk about is, do we want to do a summer happy hour? And so, we will talk about doing something in August. Just want to get feedback from the board on creating a.
Periodically, for that,
After all of this.
before the parade and before end of the year stuff.
Yeah, because it'll be quiet then.
When does school start? Anybody know? Is it August?
Everyone turns 20.
I don't know,
I really don't know.
I know what band camp, so it's gonna be August 22nd.
22nd?
Usually a Thursday.
Right, so that following Friday.
You're saying.
The 23rd. The 23rd.
Right after, right.
Right, because everyone.
Good job, everyone. Makes sense. That's good.
And it's, it's the week before the weekend of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's good luck. Thank you. Anything else on events?
We have another,
Beach cleanup.
beach cleanup.
On 30th.
Yeah, like, and I think it is. And we also have one. That's the 3. But I'm not sure the date because I didn't look at it. We have it down.
If you would send them to us, that would be good.
Yeah.
Moving in.
There's one other thing happening that, there's a group that's putting together a queer prom, not for kids, but an adult prom. It's gonna be in October, but if you're interested in being a part of planning it, it's happening. A prom, dancing, you know.
It's in October, is it?
Yeah, definitely not,
Cool. Anything else, so shifting into task forces, anything Main Street, beyond what we talked about?
We're gonna have to do something about the Vecchia
What?
Bartlett. That thing, I watched 2 people almost get clipped because they have to go out into the street because it sticks into the bike lane. It is too wide.
Yeah,
We don't want people, I don't want people to get hurt, right? I don't care whose restaurant it is. You can't, so I don't know, I'm gonna bring it up, when I talk to David White and see what he has to say, right, about doing it. But if they don't do anything, that has to, that's just too freaking dangerous. The parklet sticks out into the bike lane, so if you're on a bike, you have to pull out into traffic. And that's when people get That's deadly. Yeah. It's, I just don't want to see anyone get hurt, see enough people get hurt.
Nothing else, Main Street.
Ask me after tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what about the restaurant opening? What do you know about that? There's a Tex-Mex going into the old, the Enterprise Fish Company.
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
Oh, no? So they got the chef lined up, bragging about it, but no.
Actually, mom.
Yeah,
I know everything, but I.
because it's some,
Is not.
oh, because it's some Michelin star chef, which is good. And then you said there was 220 seats at the one by RVCA. There's, I can't remember who told me that just tonight. Oh, Mark did. Sorry, Mark. So it's gonna be a big restaurant, 100 seats.
Where the Tipsy Chef used to be in the edit bar, they're hoping to open in the next couple of weeks. That's also, next same concept, I'm not sure. But that's supposed to open literally weeks. Triple Bean Pizza is consistently 2 weeks away from opening.
So when I saw the guy that's gonna put the restaurant in an old herringbone, I was walking by on Sunday, so they're working on it. So it sounds it's gonna be in the summer.
And then the Regent is getting close to, supposed to be opening sometime in the summer with Michael Mina and multiple other restaurants.
And then Rafael Luna has a restaurant now into whatever, the La Margeau, whatever it's called now, like painted. So he's gonna have a restaurant in there too.
Is that least?
Someone had mentioned that to me and thought it was a done deal, but I haven't heard anything for the last 30 days.
One thing I wanted to mention is we did do a nice, Main Street tour a couple of weeks ago with Mark, and we had a good little crowd going, and we're trying to do that again. Do we know the date for the next one? Is it the 15th? Yeah.
When is it?
Saturday, the 15th.
15th?
This Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's at 10 o'clock, and it's really, really informative. If you are artists.
Yeah. We're gonna do it every month. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, and Dave and I did it.
You might want to check. It's a soft opening.
Yeah, I think it would be good for some of our people here, because there is so much to know about the street that's in our community that I didn't know, and I know you read his blog and it's wonderful, but to go and see these things.
But it's on the 15th, which is the same time as right on the prayer, here.
It's this Saturday.
Yeah, yeah, that's Friday on the prayer.
Well, they'll do it next month.
Alright, anything else on, or anything to talk about on education, grad night, is.
Grad night starts tomorrow night, so the seniors graduate tomorrow and they'll be hopefully attending grad night on campus where they're safe and where we're safe, so that's good. And then I think we had an invite for someone on our board to go and be a part of the bond discussion. See if that.
I'm attending that next week.
Yeah, so.
Bond discussion for the schools.
Yeah, because they, reach out to the neighborhood associations.
So they typically do polls, real polls.
Yeah.
Polls I know about so far, tax cuts, tax increases, seems to be in the wind this year.
Thank you. Anything on emergency preparedness?
No.
Great. Anything to add on housing, Robbie?
Just that there was cool event last week that Francis moderated, committed to nonprofit, profit developer, for-profit developers, a sewer representative, and then
City.
the city was there. And it's just clear that everybody thinks it's a problem. I didn't hear a lot of solutions, but I mean, it's something that needs to be solved for it. So anyway.
Money is the problem.
Right.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Super track. Well, thanks. Let's focus on the meeting, not that. Okay.
So what, just curious, what did Mr. Zane have to say about
A lot.
Well, right, but you can usually boil it down to one sentence or two sentences.
He was the SMER representative? Is
Yes.
that- Okay. Yeah, I mean, he talked a lot on a lot of different topics, but,
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I'm happy to have a conversation with you afterwards.
You know,
Sue was there too, so she's.
so I know that conversation.
Well, anything on Lincoln?
Well, wait, on the museum,
Yep.
they're gonna have a panel on homelessness in August. I don't know the date yet, but that should be an interesting discussion.
I think it's gonna be a different discussion, because the Supreme Court, right, they have that case in front of them, and, you know, where basically someone said we should have the right to clean out the campus. That will be a fundamental shift in the whole area, right? Because Tracy Park's doing that now, so it's not really housing people, so they're just moving around. A lot of them are coming to Santa Monica. That's gonna be, nobody really knows how to predict the outcome. That's gonna be different.
Okay, anything on Lincoln to talk about?
Can't speak to anything new about it. Last meeting we had, but one thing I like to revamp is the beautification part. I noticed Lincoln, all the red curves are black and a lot of the tree wells are stuffed with weeds and a business license to say, you have a business, take care of your tree well. I want to maybe talk to the city about top down or things, you know, that. They're here for a business license, you know, thinking somewhere. We're making an effort.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get in and make that happen.
Good.
So, can you maybe, I don't know if this is appropriate, can you summarize your conversation with Mr. White? Anything interesting happen, or?
And just so everyone that I do a quarterly
Right.
lunch or coffee with David White, just for that, he called him, OPA in Ocean Park. We talked about the 4th of July parade, talked about, sort of just general sort of like homeless matters, just because it's so high on everyone's radar, just constantly talking about it. One of the things he talked quite a bit about was sort of just the toxicity of public meetings and that his staff is getting out all the time. That it's really starting to beat down on the staff. And you know, good and bad is that every city is seeing this toxicity. It's just society today is not a good place that way. But that is, it's still demoralizing the staff here. And if there's ways we can help with that, at least as a neighborhood organization, positive, give, you know, affirmation when you see staff members and feel it, try and be respectful of them, things like that. It seems like that's something that's really high on his radar. He's worried about losing people. Those were the main, and we talked a little bit about the Olympics as well. I don't know if this is public knowledge or not, but we're supposed to get volleyball, but ink is not on paper for that. You may not get volleyball.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess, you know, the LA Olympics Committee wants a lot of money for it. And I guess they're bidding going out to Long Beach and Manhattan Beach and other areas as well. So that is far from a done deal, given this.
She's nasty.
It's, I think they want
on that stuff.
yeah, and I think it's like 20 plus million. The Olympics, I mean, Santa Monica is going to be a, you know, a central part of the Olympics on TV anyways. You know, is it a worthwhile investment to pay just that? And so I have a feeling, and I also talked to a lot about it, like there's sort of pissing contests going on with the LA Olympics Committee, where it's like, sure, Long Beach may give you $25 million to do it, but it's not super pretty to have a bunch of shipping containers in the background versus the pier in the background, especially when like Paris Olympics in a couple weeks is literally 100 feet from the Eiffel Tower for volleyball. It's a big, if you've been in Paris, it's in the big park right next to the Eiffel Tower. So that's going to be moving over everything for volleyball. So if they're looking for something to be pretty and symbolic of LA, they're going to want to here. So there's just sort of, you know, trying to figure out how to strike the best deal. So we talked about that a little bit. And so that's very much so on the table.
Thank you.
Last sort of agenda item on my list is July board meeting. Often skip July, so parade and travels and everything going on. Just throwing it out there to see if anyone has any thoughts on whether we should have it or whether we should say that.
I think we should skip it. And I'm one who usually doesn't say things like that. But we have the 4th of July on a Thursday. We would have that meeting on a Monday. And then right then we have another thing going on the 13th. So I don't think there's much that we need to talk about. And if we do, we can email, we can see it through a lot of it. I just need to know because I'm the one who's the reservations for this place.
I make a motion to skip the July meeting.
Second, Robbie, all in favor of skipping July board meeting? Any opposition? Oh, no July meeting. Hope it frees up time for people to dedicate to 4th of July and other open days.
And so we will have the next meeting on the 2nd Monday in August.
Yes.
Okay. I put it in the request. You like it here? We come back?
100%, right?
Okay.
No treasurer reports, but,
Sit.
motion for the minutes, but I know I got one correction on the name,
Yeah.
but that's it. Did anybody read it?
Yes.
Yes.
Other than-
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Accept.
Aye, all in favor? Okay. Any opposition? No. Oh, any other open items? She had to leave, but Anya was a new member who was here earlier. I was getting her to talk, she had to go. She got a micro grant, $500 for planting trees in Ocean Park. And I'm connecting her with Jerry. But if anybody else is interested in trying to help decide where and what to do with that, let me know. And I'll do it. Anything else from anyone? Cool. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Second. Aye. All in favor? Yay. All right. Meeting adjourned, 8:23. Thanks all.
All right.